What's up, you guys? I'm JoJo, and welcome to the Warriors Arise and Mom Talk vlog. Are you a mom with a successful business and feeling overwhelmed with the daily demands of life? Just like us, we are here to talk about that. And today we're going to be talking about the battling the sleepless nights. On this channel, we will share all the things faith, parenting tips, tricks, and strengths to help your identity and help you become the person that God has called you to be in your business and at home. If you're a perfect mom, keep on rolling because this channel is not for you. But this is for all the real moms, the business moms, and the ones that want to be a present, not necessarily perfect mom. We're still battling, we're still trying. And today, we're going to be talking about battling those sleepless nights. If you like this channel, hit subscribe and share with all your friends. And we have Yhennifer, and again, I'm JoJo, and let's hit today. So,
What?
guys, we're going to be
Hold
talking
on.
about this.
I was saying hi to
What
you.
did you say,
Hello.
Jennifer?
Hi, Jojo.
Oh,
Hi.
hello, Jennifer. You guys, we're going to be talking about those battling the sleepless nights, you guys. I think this happens to every woman, but specifically as business women that cannot turn off our brains at night. And then we have all the stress of life and everything else around it. And so, you guys, I don't know how many times a month you guys are sleepless, but I know this week specifically, I was up 2 nights in a row, just my brain would not shut off. Sometimes it's great stuff because you're like, okay, I have a business model and my kids are asleep, and like you pull out your pen and paper and it's 2 a.m. and you're like, oh my gosh, everything is flowing because it's silent and it's quiet, and the kids are not in trouble because it's silent. They're actually just asleep. But then you have those other nights where you're just like, I can't fall asleep because of the stress of everything. Maybe it's the financial stress of your business. Maybe it's your spouse is not on board with the business and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do everything. Maybe it's that you feel like you're failing as a mom. I mean, the list goes on what these moms are facing and how we can help. Yhennifer, what do you think?
Yeah. So this was an interesting topic because I have found myself in those situations, not regularly, but sometimes in different seasons of my life, depending like what's going on, right? Like it's always
Yes.
either, like you said, creativity related or stress related. Those are like the two
Yep.
major times. So, life, we've talked about this in our channel here, that, life is not just like, hey, we're just cruising by. There's ups, there's downs, and the way we handle life and the way we handle stress is what makes a difference, right? So, in seasons, I'm gonna say seasons of my life, because I just overcame like a huge season, I feel, in my life that took more longer than what I thought it was gonna take. There were plenty of sleepless nights. And it was more in regards to of like worrying that my children were okay and that they were taken care of. It was really like that season, this last season, that I just kind of like wrapped up. So what did I do, right? So what did I do? One of the things that we coach entrepreneurs and business owners on operations and how to optimize your body and things like that. I went back to like the tips and everything that I coach people to do to help them optimize their body. So like if I'm like not having a great night of sleep because of whatever I'm thinking about certain situations, and I'm trying to figure out what's my next move or what's the next thing I need to get done for my family, um, I make sure that in the morning I hydrate as soon as I wake up, like hydrate, water, like taking care of your body is so important. Hydrate and make sure that I go out to the sun. Like, if you're in a place where there's no sun, I don't know what to tell you. Like a sauna, right? They have saunas. You can go to the gym and get sauna done. But usually in the summer, I have winter seasons here too. But usually in the summer, I go out first thing in the morning and go get like that morning sun in my eyes, in my body, just to get energized for the morning, because we still have to carry out the day. We still have to work, we still have to make breakfast in the morning. We still have to take care of the kids. We still have to do all the things in the morning. Right. And then what I normally do when I don't have a well-rested night, I take a nap in the middle of the day. Okay. Like I take a break and I'd be like, okay, guys, I'm shutting everything down. I pop them some my earbuds and put some meditation in my ears and like take a nap. Like I take a nap. That's what I do. That's usually my routine when I don't have good enough rest. And I try, as best as possible every single day. I try to get at least 8 hours of sleep. I try to go to bed early. I remember in the beginning stages when I thought that you just had to work more, to do more, to grow your business. And I was like killing myself in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship. I used to work till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every day. And that put a toll in my body. And once I started learning about optimizing your body, if you optimize your body the right way, you actually could sleep less and be more productive, that and actually get more done. Okay. So it's like, but you need to set a routine. And I learned about that. And we did a whole, I think we did a whole video about routine and organizing your day and all of that. So for me, it's like creating those habits. I guess to summarize it, creating those habits, acknowledging that it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a lot of things on our mind. We're juggling a lot of things as a woman alone, as a wife, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, acknowledging that it's okay and setting routines for yourself to make sure that you're catching up with your sleep, and then you're trying to go to bed at a decent time and getting enough rest for your body so that you can optimize for to be more productive in your day. So those are the things that I do, is kind of tied in with, some habits, routines, and optimizing your body. Like it's those three things that I kind of like focus on. And it's not perfect every day. Some days it's like, yay, the routine got done. Some days it's like, oh, I am really behind on my routine. And it's okay, which is next day you get up and you try again, right? Like there's no shame in the
Yeah.
game. Just keep going. So that's a little bit of
Yeah.
what I do when I feel those pressures, and talking to myself that hey, it's okay.
Yeah. And I think, Yennefer, you touched on a couple points that I think is important. So first of all, like when you're in the sleepless night situation, it's either again that stress or you're thinking about the things. Now, when you're thinking about the things, it's not usually pretty frustrating because you're like, oh my gosh, it all ties together, all that. It's not usually frustrating. It's when the stress hits that's when the frustrating nights are. And so with that, so for me, I I can't take naps. Like literally my body, like I cannot take naps, number one. Number two, I have not been able to schedule that into my days, right? So like I feel like we have two types of women on here. The
Yeah.
women that are able to schedule that into their days and then the women that are not. And that's okay of whichever bucket you're in, right? Because again, we're not fitting to a mold, we're fitting the mold to fit you, right? Take the skills that you think are applicable to you and don't take the rest, right? But find which area you're in. Now, if you're in a sleepless night where it's like I can't sleep because I'm worried about like our income, or I can't sleep because I'm worried about like you said, I'm in a season of my kids are really struggling right now, right? And they really need me and I'm not sure if I should keep going, or wherever you're at with that, that's when you need to kind of grab out that pen and paper and just write down next to your bed. Just keep paper at next to your bed for those 2 o'clock in the morning moments and write down the things that's actually coming to your mind. A lot of times if we can just write it down, even though it's annoying and frustrating because you're like, I could be sleeping here, but really, are you going to be sleeping here? You're not. You're up for the next 2 hours still reminiscing about the things that are happening, right? You're still thinking about the things. So if you can just get a piece of paper and just start writing down everything that's coming to you, it doesn't have to make sense. It really doesn't. You don't have to read it the next day. But a lot of times that can clear out your brain to allow you to sleep. Because it's like what Yennefer said, like there's just so much. And when you're in certain seasons, it's just hard. And every season has a hard point, but some seasons I would definitely say are harder than others, right? Like I would say, like when I was in grad school, that was really tough. I was writing papers at 2 and 3 in the morning, right? Because that was the only silent time in my life. But at the same time, same thing when Corey and I first started marriage coaching. It was we were doing that at like 11:30 at night because why? It was the only time our house was silent. And we were starting off, so it's not like we had things established. We were still building our routines. We were still building the frameworks. We were still building everything. But at the same time, it gave us strength because at 2:30 in the morning, we're having conversations about stuff. And I was extremely tired. So going back to what Yennefer said, like my body was more broken down all the time because I was so exhausted. And I felt like we had to grind and we had to push harder and we kept having to do, all these things. Now, there were perks and pros and cons to it, right? Pro, it was silent. So kids weren't interrupting us. At that point, we had like a million kids under 4. So it was like impossible to get anything done during the day. But at the same time, we were exhausted, couldn't take naps because the kids needed us. They weren't in school, all these things that it's like it was hard. It was really grinding hard. But here's the pro to it. One, because of what our business was, we were marriage coaches. And so we took everything that we taught and we actually applied it to our own marriage, which one strengthened our marriage and made our marriage so it was way different than everybody else's around us. And two, it made us so we were really expert matters because we were living it every single day and we had lived the trials, we had lived the hardships, which is why Yennefer and I do this call, because it's like we don't need to add an extra thing onto our plate. But why? Because moms reach out to us and say, I'm really struggling right now. How do you do this? Right? And we didn't do this because we woke up one day and we're like, we're the perfect mom. No, again, we're trying to be present moms, not perfect moms, right? We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have errors. We're all going to have our frustrating moments, sleepless nights, all the things. But because we've lived trial and error, 10 kids together, right? Not together, but like individually together, it's one of those things that we lived it, we've learned it, we know it, and we have now tips and frameworks because of our sleepless nights that have made it this way.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that because you mentioned that like we didn't want to add on like another thing to our plate, right? So and why people reach out to us. Like there has been so many people that have reached out to me. They're like, Yennefer, like even on podcasts, like people interview me for
Yes.
podcasts and this and different things. Or, I'm getting interviewed for business, but we end up always talking about family and kids and how do you do the thing? That's like the number one
Yes.
question. How do you do everything that you do? And I mentioned about routines and habits, but like something that's very important, and I know this is important to you too, Jojo, is prayer is involved in everything that we do,
Yes.
and every day when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for giving me another day. And I ask God to give me strength to do everything I need to get done and accomplish. Like if it wasn't for God's strength, I would not be even on this video today, if it wasn't for God giving me
Yes.
the strength. So obviously, you could have all the tips and tools and routines and checklists and everything that we're
Yes.
providing with to you guys. But if you are watching this and you don't have a relationship with God, I mean, guys, that's the most important thing because without that, we have no strength. Like the Bible says that God gives us strength. So we believe in what the Bible says, right? So even if you're curious, if you're like, oh, I don't know what that means, put it in the comments. Like we will reach out to you guys. We will pray with you guys. Like we
Yes.
don't have a problem to do that because we know that once we started, and I don't know about you, but I'll speak to, you can share your thoughts on that. But once I started to incorporate God in all areas of my life, not just spiritual, like when I'm in church and that's it, but like in my marriage and as I'm parenting
Yes.
in my business, like if I start to when I started to incorporate God and praying over each area of my life before I made any decisions, before I did anything, things are not perfect, but God gives you the strength to carry through to the next side, to the other side, right? Doesn't matter what comes your way. And
Yeah.
that's part of like the seasons in life. We talked about that a little while ago. Like, we're different seasons, some seasons we get more sleep than others, and we're different seasons. But, the number one thing for me is like having that relationship with God and praying over that. Even when I can't sleep, like I'll pray, I'll sit there in bed, like with my eyes wide open and be like, God, like, please get my eyes tired so I could take a
Yes.
sleep because tomorrow I have to do whatever that is, right? Like I know
Yes.
every day is a busy day for me. Like I have, like Jojo said, we have houses full of kids, and we're trying to break, generational curses and create generational wealth for our families. That's really what we're doing every single
Yeah.
day with our time when we're not parenting, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what we're doing. So that's important. So like what do you think about that? About like incorporating prayer and getting that strength from God?
Absolutely. When I'm in my sleepless nights, I am always like, okay, exactly what you said. Help my tired, help my eyes to be tired.
Yeah.
Like, just help me fall asleep. If it's one of those stressful moments, it's like you literally are just having this conversation with him and you're just like, I can't, I can't. I'm so exhausted. And that's when all of the like overwhelm and everything, like you can kind of unwind it because you're just having a conversation with God, right? And you're explaining like why you're having a hard time because we all do. We all have hard times. And so it's such a good way to get that yuck out. And also it like rebuilds that hope, the faith, and everything that you have inside of you that like sometimes feels lost, right? Sometimes it feels really silent. And it's okay because you're going to be at the point where you can have that conversation with him and you start to hear him and you start to understand him and you start to understand where you're at in your life. I know I look back. So we were foster parents for 10 years and we had 30 kids over those 10 years. And all of our kids, all five, are adopted through foster care. And I look back at each step in our life. Like, for instance, we moved to Vegas for Corey to go to grad school to become a physical therapist. Is he a physical therapist? No, he's into business, right? We fell in love with business after grad school. But why? We had to move to Vegas because our children were in Vegas, right? So, over the 10 years of crazy and all of the yucky moments, and 30 kids later, we could literally, after we were moving from Vegas to Texas, we finally understood, like, okay, it was line upon line, little things that brought us to where we're at today. But we don't see that in the mix, right? We don't see the sequential order that he's created for us and helped us through. Now, obviously, we have like our agency and we can make choices and all these things, but at the same time, he's got a nice hand in all of it,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, if you can look back, even just try today, like in our business stuff, our business has shifted tons. Yennefer, yours has shifted, right? Business always shifts. It always does. Because it's one of those things that, like, you start off with a good plan, and it's like God is saying, like, yeah, that's a good step. Go to physical therapy school. That's what you need to do, right? No doubt in our mind were we going to become, like, was Corey going to become a physical therapist, right? He has a doctorate degree in physical therapy. Does he use it? No, right? Because it wasn't the order that needed to go. It was just the steps. We just needed those little steps to get us where we're going. We needed those steps to get our kids. Our kids were very, very much like, I literally know that each of my children were picked and chosen to help me. And I have strengths that help them, and they have lots of strengths that help me. And it's like, we needed to go to Vegas to be able to start our family. It wasn't to become a physical therapist. That was just the step that could convince us to get there, right? And so it's interesting how when we're worrying about all these things all night, and I mean, I'm included in this, right? Like the other day, I had a stressful night where I'm just like thinking about everything and I'm pondering, like, how do I do this? And like, even like things like, I'm going to be real, like, how do we get more clients, right? Like, those little things hit everybody. How do we sustain all of this? How do we grow in this area? How do I want to, like, put this part of my practice together and like this part of my program together and like all these things that are constantly going, but like he's actually hearing it and helping us through even when it feels like he's not there, right? There were many sleepless nights as a foster parent where I was like, are you kidding me? Another kid is going home. How exhausting is that? Why in the world am I doing this, right? But in reality, he was just setting the stage so that way each of my children could be set up perfectly to come into our home at the right time.
Yeah, God is definitely the one that orchestrates everything. One thing that you mentioned too about the sleepless nights is like journaling. So even when I'm spending time with God, I do also have a journal handy by my bed as
Yes, me
well.
too.
So even, so I journal for two different things at night. It's either if I have a dream, I wake up and I write it down right away
Yes,
because
me too.
sometimes those dreams are signs from God or him like telling you like, hey, move this direction. Sometimes they're not. So you have to, pray and ask God for discernment. But I always write down the dream because when I wake up later on, I'm not gonna remember. Most people don't
Yep,
remember their dreams.
yep,
So I always write down my dreams. And second, if it's I'm in creativity or if I'm talking to God and I get a message from God, like I'm like a download. I call that heavenly downloads. Write it down,
yes,
get a heavenly download. Um Journaling is really good. I love that. I love journaling, getting the thoughts out of your head. I love that you gave that tip. So that is something that I definitely do as well. And if you haven't done it, you're watching this, then you should try it because it does give you a little bit more peace of mind knowing that you got it out of your head. And even if it's things that you got to get done, because usually when it's not creativity, you're thinking about things that got to get done, like
yes,
that,
exactly. It's your
yeah.
to-do list.
Yeah. So you start making a
Yeah.
to-do list for the next day or whatever, while you're in
Uh-huh.
the middle of the night or whatever, things that got to get done. So to kind of like summarize this and like put it into a whole, this video, we wanted to make sure that you knew that it's okay and that there's nothing wrong with you if that's happening to you. Now, if it's happening to you every single day, then I would definitely suggest, these are the things that I suggest: getting your vitamins, blood work done for vitamin deficiency, and checking everything in your body.
Yep,
Okay.
thyroid.
I'm a very natural herb kind of person. I do not like to take medicine for nothing. Like, I'd rather go holistic route for things. So I'm not gonna say, oh my God, go drink 100 different medications. No, just check your blood levels and make sure that you don't have any vitamin deficiency. I remember one time I had vitamin D deficiency. I had no idea, and I was always tired, and it was because of that, and I didn't know.
Most women are vitamin D
No,
deficient.
yeah,
Just
they
so you
do.
know,
I know.
99%.
So you know how I even checked, because I had a client that she sold supplements. I was doing marketing for a client that she sold supplements. And she sold, oh my God, what was the supplement? But I remember like one of them was for women that was always tired. So I kind of like shared that with her. And oh my God, I forgot the supplement. It was like 7 years ago or something like that. And she was like, you should go get your blood work done. Because when you go get your blood work done, ladies, when you go get a physical and get a blood work done, if you don't ask for the whole complex or whatever, they don't do it. They just do like the normal blood
Yep,
work. And it's
CBC,
like 4 or 5
CMP.
things. Yeah.
Yep.
So you have to ask the doctor. Like, if you don't ask, they don't do it. And I've always got a physical. I've been on top of getting a physical every year, and I had no idea that was a thing until this, like, one of my clients told me. So I went and did the whole complex thing, whatever it's called. I don't even know. And I came out vitamin D deficiency. And then I started doing research as I was doing marketing for her, that most women are vitamin D deficient and they don't even know it. And I felt like in that bucket, in the high bucket, because it's a high bucket, it's not a low percentage, it's a high percentage. And
Yes.
so get your blood work done. This is like, if this is happening to you every night, right? Like, get your blood work done. Get some counseling or therapy, like a life coach, something like that. Like, I have a life coach today. I've always had a mentor, a life coach, a therapist, someone in my life that's always helping me like bounce off ideas of the thoughts I have in my mind. And there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with that, because that's another stigma, right? You could touch.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it's funny because I was literally talking to a friend 2 days ago about things. And she said, now, of course, like we're always happy around others, right? Like, but when we're sleepless nights, it's not, it's real. It's sleepless nights, right? And so I was talking to my friend, she's like, well, like, how do you do it? That's our number one question we always get. How do you do it? And it's like, well, I'm surrounded by therapists all the time. I am. And so I literally talk to my favorite friend therapist every single workday. Every single Monday through Friday, I talk to her, I text her, I whatever, every probably like 7 times a day, even though it's like 10 minutes we talk to each other. It's 10 minutes of me getting my therapy, right? Even though she's not my therapist, right?
Yep.
But every mom needs a therapist. Every mom needs a therapist or a life coach or whatever, that person to bounce stuff off of. And then my second person, not my second, but my first person, and then my other person would be second, is like I have two friends, well, I guess three. Like, so I have two friends in Vegas that I stay connected with that were foster parents that we shared very, very similar trials with. And I try to talk to them, either text or call, almost every single day. And it's not long calls. And it's usually like, hey, this happened today, right? Like my kid, who knows, my kid threw eggs at our neighbor's outie, right? Something like that. Like it's just downloading the junk that happened throughout the day. And then my other person, my number one person, is my husband, right? So I am constantly going to him and being like, this was a struggle today, right? But here's back up a little bit. We created our frameworks, remember? In our beginning of our business, we created our frameworks because of the things we were struggling with, and we noticed everybody else was also struggling in these things. The difference is we use our framework still to this day, even though he doesn't coach marriage and stuff like that with me anymore. Like we use it every single day. And so you have to have that person that's your outlet. And I strongly suggest therapist or a life coach or whatever, so you can get all those yucky things out and it's just a non-biased person. However, friends are also great too. That you can download that stuff, spouses, things like that. You have to have that healthy relationship with them first though, because one thing that I find a lot is I have people that come to me for things, and then when I have something going on, they're not there, right? And it's like, oh, you're not there for me, but yet you download everything to me. I know everything about your life, right? But when I need something, You're not actually there. And so those friends drain us. Those, I mean, they're good in the sense of like it's always good to help people, but those type of friends are going to drain you because when you actually need their help, when we were foster parents, we had it all the time where it was like I would go to somebody and I'd be like, "Oh man, I'm so sad right now because blank child is going home." And they'd be like, "Well, that's what you signed up for." I'm sorry. That's not the way foster care works. You don't sign up to take a child for 6 months and like have no feelings for them. You grow a loving relationship for them. It's a big, real deal, you know? But to them, it was, I don't see why you're upset right now, you
Yeah.
know? And so be leery of those type of friends. And if they are your type of friends, that's great. You can still help them. Set your boundaries though, and know what you can expect from them.
Yeah, and I think that deserves a whole video, the boundaries, setting boundaries part.
Let's do that.
We chatted about every time we do a video for you guys. In the video, we're like, oh, that's a topic for a
There's
video.
the topic. Yes, the
I,
mom
I
life.
I totally agree with that. So if this is the point of the if this is happening every single day to you, the sleepless nights is that you seek those this advice that we gave you here today. But if it's not, if it's just like, once a week or every 2 weeks and it was random, then obviously the first tips that we gave you guys, try like Jojo said, like there's no perfect formula for that, right? Like try some of the things I shared, try some of the things that Jojo shared, and find what works for you. And what we want you to know, and the ultimate goal of this specific video is that you are not alone, that everything's okay when
Yep.
moms are busy, moms have a lot on their plate, they have a lot on their mind, like being a
Yes.
mom is a full-time job in itself without having work and business and everything else, right? So
Yes.
just show grace to yourself and know that you're okay and that we are your people because we deal with this all the time. And that's why another reason why we decided to make this video. We wanted to support you guys, give you guys feedback, share with you guys some of the things that has worked for us so that you can try it to see if it works for you.
Yeah.
Any,
I love
any
it.
other last
And
minute?
remember, you guys, you are enough. You
Yes.
are enough. Okay.
Yes. All right. So,
Hit
Jojo,
subscribe and we'll see you guys next time.
see you in the next video. Peace.
Bye, guys.